Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel Beast of ZeldaDungeon.net, and this is actually a response to Cody's video, Zelda Villains. And before you get into this too much, obviously, you should watch his video right there. And, first of all, I just want to say, welcome back, Cody. It's good to have you back doing videos and whatnot. And as for the glary glasses to which you referred, I had the same problem. That's precisely why I, despite wearing glasses, do not wear them on the videos, which makes it difficult to read notes sometimes. But, yeah. I was gonna actually do this topic about Zelda Villains, go over all the Zelda Villains, but I was actually holding out till I had beaten Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, just so I could, do it kind of thoroughly. But you beat me to it, so I'll just do this as a video response instead. I think I know enough about the Oracle Villains now, anyway, to state it, to talk about them either way. First of all, you asked, which do you think is the most evil villain? And, that's a little hard to judge sometimes because, what people define as evil can differ a lot from time to time. I mean, I usually define it as simply most destruction, evil is, in my opinion, a measurement of how much destruction and harm something or someone causes. And I think that, when judging villains, it's best to judge both their intent to do harm and the actual harm they cause and how little they care about it. In my opinion, the evilest villain would probably be Majora. I mean, there's a lot of villains with a lot of different motivations and, evils and whatnot, but I don't think a lot of them could really be defined as much more than kind of the same thing. Like, you have characters like Vati and, Onyx and Varan, but they really kind of have the same level of evil. I don't think they could really, place one above the other. They're kind of just, cookie-cutter villains. I mean, they have their own motivations, their own, reasons and goals, and their own, style and personality, but at the same time, the level of evil they're capable of is pretty similar. And this is true of Ganon in pretty much all the games, too. I'd say the evilest Ganon was in Twilight Princess, probably, where they just kind of showed him as a brutal, conquering warlord kind of type. Even though, as you put it, he was kind of just a random cameo appearance. But anyway, Majora, I would say, is the evilest, because I've always felt, and I get into the Stone Tower and, Majora's Mask origin theories a lot, I've always felt that they kind of portrayed Majora as, this ancient demon, this super evil from, the devil kind of thing. And I think that when you kind of paint that persona for the character, you really don't have a choice but to say it's the evilest villain, because the devil is the root of all evil. So if you're going to have a demon, you're going to have a devil. This is an ancient entity that is made of evil, pretty much. That's the basic idea. So I think you have to give it to him. I mean, you could say that the mindless destruction that he causes isn't that bad, it's just, nuts. But I think the fact is that Majora was portrayed as having this kind of human insanity, because you had, them running around, cackling and whatnot. So I think they, painted this element of the character that made him just this insane evil, this insane destruction. That was the traits that made him up, his core attributes. And I don't think, you could write it off saying, well, he was insane, he wasn't evil. I don't think that necessarily, I don't think those are mutually exclusive. I think you can be evil and because you're insane, but still evil. Malladus might deserve some props for the same reasons, because he's also a demon. He's even stated to be one, and Malladus is also basically shown to be he wants to destroy the freaking world. He even says that as basically. Bellum, I also would kind of put on there for similar reasons, though really they portrayed Bellum as though he was pretty much just animal. He wasn't like this eldritch ancient demon with a human intelligence, and yeah, he was demonic, but I don't think he deserves the credit as being the evilest intentions, evilest, motivations or whatnot. So I don't think Bellum's the evilest villain. Now, you also asked, which is the most developed villain, and I love questions like this, separating these different traits of the villains and giving them credit in different areas, as they deserve. And I have to agree with you completely. The Wind Waker's brand of Ganon is the best, and the most developed villain of the series. I mean, other versions of Ganon are really just, I think I had this described this way recently, Saturday morning, he's just a Saturday morning villain most of the games. In specific games more recently, some of the console titles, the 3D console titles, you have him with more, development. You have, Ocarina of Time's Ganon or Twilight Princess's Ganon, but they're pretty much, they have some extra story elements than, the old pig version, but they also are pretty much just this, I'm the villain, and, that's the same as, Vati and Onyx and Varan, in my opinion. So, And the Wind Waker Ganon, I think he really had a lot of detail, as you put it. I mean, I could pretty much just repeat what you said, because, you know, there was just a lot of, you know, detail into his motivations. And it ties in pretty nicely with Ocarina of Time's storyline, but I think you really just got to give the Wind Waker's Ganon credit for it. And it's kind of funny, because the Wind Waker was, you know, it's the toon game. It's not just cel-shaded like some of the other games are. They really fully tried to realize the cartoon feeling. They even talk about this a lot when they were making the game. And it's just funny because it has all these odd little, like, either melancholy or just, like, slightly deeper elements to the storyline. And it's just kind of funny. You wouldn't peg a cartoony game with that. And it's funny because Twilight Princess, which is the grittier, you know, that's kind of the look they were going for anyway, game of the series, totally had like a simpler, more basic plot. You know, it's interesting that they have that, if that's a little off topic. You also mentioned the Skull Kid as being a developed villain, and I can't quite agree with you there, mainly because I don't think the Skull Kid deserves credit as the game's villain. Yeah, he was like the physical presence that was there the whole time, but he only really appeared at the very beginning and the very end. And really, as a villain, he was just motivated by Majora. I mean, I guess this is kind of a fan theory, but I always, you know, like, interpreted the Skull Kid as none of his actions were really his own. It was Majora in his head, and while it was kind of his own desires being, you know, moved, you know, that's why he was a prankster, it was Majora's kind of evil that was pushing him. It wasn't just his power that he was using, it was like his influence. So that's why the pranks became these really sick, twisted, you know, things. So I think that, you know, Majora was really the villain of that game. It really was not the Skull Kid. And Majora isn't that developed. You're right on that. I still think that there's a lot of, like, symbology in the game about, symbology, symbolism, whichever term you prefer, that hints at, like, different elements of Majora's, you know, history and whatnot. But it's still, like, I don't think he deserves credit as being the deepest, like you said. As for what villain, I mean, you didn't ask this, but I have to add it in. What's my most favorite villain, like the one I'm most attached to, my personal fave? That would be Majora. I get into Majora's Mask so much. It's such a great game, such a great, you know, like, symbolic storyline. And Majora is just a crazy, creepy villain. There's no other villain like him in the series. He's totally unique in that way. I'd say he's the most unique villain. Definitely, for sure. And he's just my favorite for those reasons. I just love his style. You know, that's all I gotta say. It's great to see you again, Cody, and it's great to do a video response. I'd like to do these again in the future, probably. In regards to your, you know, snap, which I can't do, I can't snap my fingers very well, more power to you, you know, I do the salute thing, and I think people get angry at me, not for the salute, but for other things, like, you know, my appearance and my mannerisms and basically everything about me. So, yeah. So that's my thoughts on the Zelda Villains. Good to see you again, Cody, and I'll see you guys later.